Hey Samford fans, welcome into another edition of the Samford Sports Wrap-Up. I'm John McAfee, happy to be joined today by Samford Baseball head coach Casey Dunn. Coach, appreciate you being here.
Thank you, John.
Well, great start to the season for your Bulldogs, 12-4 through your first 16 games. Best start for the program since 1958. You guys already had a 10-game winning streak, and I'm sure there's some areas you'd like to see improvement on, but overall you got to be pretty happy with how your team has played so far.
I think we are. I think when we came into this season looking at our pre-conference schedule, we thought there was a lot of 50-50 games. We thought we were playing a lot of teams very similar to our program. And for us to have won the majority of those games playing what I think is pretty good competition, really pleased with where we're at.
If there was one or two areas where you kind of pinpoint and say this needs to get better before SoCon play starts, what would that be?
I think we have several. I think the strength of our team right now is we're playing with some confidence and we're finding ways to win games. But there's a lot of areas we need to clean up. Offensively, I think we've got a lot of room for improvement in terms of where we're at, both in reducing the number of strikeouts and being able to produce more runs. And then our starting pitching's got to get better. We've got some guys that are competing for us. They're giving us a chance, but we got to get better with those three guys on the weekend.
A lot of your returners, your veterans, have started off really strong, guys like Mulryan and Fryman and Carlson, but you've got a couple of freshmen in Preston Moore and Sonny DeShera who have really carved out a pretty big role. What have those guys brought to the program?
I think, the biggest thing with Preston is he solidified third base for us, which has allowed us to move Taylor Garris to second, which is really a more natural position for him. Taylor was a high school shortstop, and moving to third was a tough transition that he handled really well for 2 years. But I think getting him to second kind of makes us better in the middle with him and Brandon playing together. And then Preston has done a good job defensively for us at third. And I think as he grows and matures as a hitter, I think you talk about areas of growth. I think, what he can do offensively for us in the long haul could be to truly be a run producer. He brings a power presence. He just hasn't quite got there yet, and nor should he be with his age, but I think he'll provide a good offensive force for us. And Sonny gives us a different presence in the heart of the order. We lacked over the last couple years for some power production, and while he's only hit a couple home runs, I think you'll see those numbers grow as we get more and more into the season.
I don't want to leave out Caden Dreyer either. He's gotten some early playing time, and he's kind of taken advantage of it when he's been in the lineup too.
I think you really can't measure, I think, what Caden brings to our team. He's done a nice job on Sundays working with Zach Hester, and the last 2 weekends we kind of turned the game over to them and allowed Caden and Zach to kind of call their own game to pick up the tempo and hopefully, I think, get Zach in a little better rhythm. So he's done a nice job there for us, but also the ability to play a quality catcher, not give up the ability to win games, and also give Anthony a day off, a week of rest. And early in the year you may not see that, but I really think come May, come the back half of the season, you're going to see Anthony finish a lot stronger than he has the last 2 years, just because he's going to be healthier, he's going to be stronger, and Caden gives us the ability to do that.
You got some new faces in the bullpen too. You also have some veterans and new roles in the back end. We talked a little in the preseason, but Connor Radcliffe and Stephen Jones have taken over those 8th and 9th inning roles. The early results have been pretty good. I think 21 combined strikeouts to 8 walks. You're pretty happy with how the bullpen situation is unfolding?
I've really been pleased with those two guys and their transition. What they've done at the back end of the game has been really solid for us. They've competed well. They've helped us win games. They've handled the pressure of the end of the game extremely well. Even on days where they may not have thrown quite as well, I don't think the pressure got to them. So that's been really encouraging, as we know once we get into conference play, there's going to be a lot of 1- and 2-run games, and those guys are going to have to be able to handle those situations. So pleased with what they've done. Really more excited about what those guys in the middle have done. When you look at what Carson Cupo has done this year for us, Billy Krieger, Luke Corbin, Jalen Long was really good on Sunday for us. Several guys in the middle innings have pitched extremely well, which has allowed us to kind of get to Stephen and Connor at the back end.
Got another home series this weekend. The Maine Black Bears coming into Joe Lee Griffin Field. They're a team that's still looking for the first win of the season, but they played a pretty difficult schedule. What do you expect out of this weekend?
I tell you, you mentioned their schedule. They haven't taken it easy, that's for sure. When you look at it, they've played 3 Power 5 weekends and then a weekend at Liberty, which is a really solid mid-major club. So they have played a great schedule to this point, and a lot of competitive, close games. And this is the 5th week of the season, so it's their 5th opportunity to come south, 5th time to play outdoors. So usually guys from the north, get better and better each weekend. So, while the record doesn't look good, it's still going to be a challenging weekend for us. They've got some quality players. Actually have a couple of kids on their roster that we recruited out of South Florida. So, it's a team that's got some good pieces to it, and hopefully our guys will compete well and be ready to play this weekend.
And you've got SoCon play right around the corner. Furman will be here next weekend. What do you expect out of the league this year?
Watching it, I think our league has been good so far. I think all but 3 teams in the conference have winning records. I think us and Greensboro both have top 50 RPIs, even though it's early and those are kind of mismatched numbers. I still think it speaks to the quality of where the league is at right now. But when you look at it, Greensboro, Mercer, Wofford, those teams that were good last year, I think are going to be good again. East Tennessee has a whole new staff, a new team, playing really well, and it looks like Western Carolina's kind of back to what they were a couple years ago. So I think the quality of our league is going to be good this year. I think it'll be another competitive league year within the conference, and hopefully our guys will be ready to be up there near the top.
Coach, appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, John.
Samford baseball head coach Casey Dunn. Stay tuned. We've still got an interview with shortstop Brandon Fryman coming up next.
Hi, I'm Carl Berry, and this is the Samford Sports Minute. Both the men's and women's basketball teams saw their seasons come to a close last weekend in the SoCon tournament. The women fell to Furman, while the men lost to UNCG after an opening round victory over the Citadel. Senior Carissa Nelson finishes the NCAA runner-up in the indoor mile last weekend, earning first-team All-American honors. The outdoor track season begins next weekend with the South Alabama Invite. The women's golf team had a strong showing at the Spring Break Shootout in Dade City, Florida, finishing 4th out of 15 teams. Emily Hewlin placed 6th individually and was named the SoCon Golfer of the Week. The team is back in action this Sunday in the Bobby Nichols Intercollegiate, while the men's team also returns to action this weekend in the GCU Invitational in Phoenix, Arizona. Men's tennis won all 3 of its matches this week and extended its winning streak to 4. The Bulldogs will travel to ETSU this Saturday for a SoCon match. The women's tennis team went 1-1 this week, falling to Charleston before defeating Richmond. They begin SoCon play on Thursday with a trip to Macon, Georgia to face the Mercer Bears. The softball team went 2-2 in the Racer Classic held in Murray, Kentucky last weekend before falling to UAB in their midweek matchup on Wednesday. The Bulldogs travel to Oxford, Mississippi this weekend, where they'll face off against Ole Miss and Oklahoma State. They return home on Tuesday with a doubleheader against Tennessee Tech. The baseball team is off to its best start since 1958, with the Bulldogs going 12-4 through their first 16 games. They swept Kennesaw State last weekend before falling to number 1 ranked Vanderbilt on Tuesday. They're back for another home series this weekend, taking on the Maine Black Bears. I'm Carl Berry, and this has been your Samford Sports Minute.
Welcome back to the Samford Sports Wrap-Up. I'm joined now by Samford Junior shortstop Brandon Fryman. Brandon, appreciate your time, and first of all, congratulations on the great start to the season, 12-4 through your first 16 games. I was talking to Coach, it's the best start for this program in over 50 years. You got to be pretty happy with how your team's playing so far.
Yeah, we're starting off the season well. I think we've just been able to win games and pull some out that, we might not have been blowing people out, but we've just really been competing and fighting throughout the course of 9 innings, and it's been turning out pretty well.
Yeah, the timely hitting has been there, and you've kind of been a catalyst at the top of the order. You've gotten off to a really good start offensively. I think .338 your average for the first 16 games, leading the team in stolen bases as well. You pretty happy with where your game is at offensively right now?
Yeah, I'm just getting on base, trying to let guys like Fusi, Brooks, and Mulrine drive me in, and stealing bases helps me get on second and get in scoring position, and leads to runs, and the runs win games. So.
And obviously, you're continuing to play defense at a very high level. You have really since you got here as a freshman, and you're making a lot of stellar plays look pretty routine out there at shortstop. How much pride do you put in when you're playing defense?
I have a lot of pride in it. I've just been working on it since I was a little kid, and it's something that I love to do and I love to work at. And just every time I'm out there, I try to make every play as possible and go after every ball. And typically, if you have that type of mindset, things work out for you. So.
Is there any big league shortstop that you've kind of watched and maybe modeled yourself after a little bit, either past or present?
Omar Vizquel was a guy that I just loved Omar. My dad played with him, and he was just a lot of fun to watch. And then current guys, I like watching Alcides Escobar from Kansas City. Got similar body types, so it's just kind of fun watching him play shortstop.
Last season, you got to experience an NCAA regional for the first time. Obviously, had the big upset over Florida State. How does that impact your offseason? Does it just kind of make you a little bit more anxious to get going again on a new season? Yeah,
I think it just proves that we're capable of playing with teams like that. We have a lot of returning guys this year, so it just doesn't put anything out of possibility, and it just gives us a goal to make it past regionals because we know we can play with those teams and just see how far we can go.
the expectation's certainly high again this year. You guys were picked by the coaches and the media to win the Southern Conference. Do you see anything of what the media says, or are you able to kind of just tune that out and play ball?
I mean, we see it, but we don't really focus on it. We know if we just take it game by game and focus on the game in front of us, then it'll take care of itself at the end of the season.
Internally, what are your expectations for what you and this team can accomplish this season?
We just want to go as far as possible. I mean, the immediate goal is to win the Southern Conference Championship, and then, you know, we want to make it past the regional. We'd like to make it past the super regional, but really just got to stay focused and take it day by day.
Brandon, appreciate your time. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
Special thanks to Brandon Fryman and head coach Casey Dunn for joining me on this edition of the Samford Sports Wrap-Up. We'll see you next week.